Hello friends of terrain building and welcome to another Middle-earth terrain building tutorial. As announced in the last video, today's tutorial will be about how you can use civilians to turn relatively bare buildings into lively terrain pieces. For example, I want to show you how you can create a lively market here, how you can perhaps directly create a beautiful monument here with a stonemason and a statue. Then I made here with a baker and a building a beautiful bakery. And I made a forge out of the blacksmith. This is by far not everything I want to show you in this tutorial. But since I do not want to waste so much time now, we start directly. I wish you a lot of fun. The video was ultimately created from the idea, together with Michael from the German Würfelorden, to show you how you can create different settings with civilians in a medieval city, or in our case, of course, in a city in Middle-earth. And you can upgrade relatively barren terrain or simply dead buildings and breathe more life into the whole terrain. We then thought about it and found the miniatures from the Printing Goes Ever On, which we really like. The Kobold Nest found this as a cool project and wanted to support us. And accordingly, these figures you see here, I got them by the Kobold Nest. They are, as always, printed in top quality. I have already told you in some videos before. You will see details, of course, also during the video, even better if you somehow see the figures in closer shots. But I don't want to go through all of them individually now. In this tutorial, I will use all figures. I'll take you piece by piece into the individual video sections, show you what I'll do with them, and I'll start with the stonemason and his statue. I'll start with this statue, which I find very beautiful. It features a really nice medieval king and ruler who is immortalized with this statue. I think this one is super cool, especially just by the fact that it still has to be carved out of the stone. This makes it a perfect match for the stonemason who is still working on it. I would like to build from it a kind of monument and effectively that then integrate on the table. This should later become a monument or a monument for Denethor. I think such a monument fits well with Denethor's self-image. I'll show you in time lapse how it's developing and then just get back to you at the end. I have spared you the painting of the terrain and the figures. The minis look absolutely great. They can be painted flawlessly. They are a lot of fun to paint and give the terrain an extreme amount of charm. The statue I painted accordingly simple as the rest of the terrain piece. You can see the more detailed painting instructions in the Gondorian house tutorial. For now, the stone mason is missing, which will be glued to the back of the pedestal, and then the first terrain piece is ready. And I'll show it to you afterwards when everything is finished. Next, I want to add some of the figures and small terrain details I got to some of my houses. You can see how I built such houses in the last tutorial. I now want to build craft buildings out of two Gondorian houses, and one will be the bakery and the other will be a forge. For this, I have here a small nice oven and also a small anvil. Both are to be attached in each case with the houses. I also built these two buildings here. Here on the right, simply a small, rather narrow house. You can also see the large forge and the roofed area for the blacksmith. On the left is the bakery, and I thought that the oven should be in here. The baker, accordingly, in the back, just putting the new breads into the oven. That's the idea, and then, of course, a few more details should be built. For example, a few tables, a bellows, some barrels, or something else. I'm not quite sure yet what all I want to build, but I'll definitely include it in the time lapse. I'll start with the bakery and then I'll build the forge. I'll show them to you again when they're each finished. next civilian to be placed at a house is this one, the architect. He's at least called an architect and also has appropriate materials with him that fit an architect. But since I don't necessarily lose him as that, I will use him as the administrator of my market. He will therefore keep the books for the market and keep an eye on everything. For that, I built a warehouse. It's kind of Battle for Middle-earth oriented, if anyone happened to recognize it. The plan is that I want to build a couple of shelves and a table for him. One of them will be a small scroll shelf. He also wears a scroll on his belt. I'll take you back in the time lapse. Have fun. So as the last house to be designed, these two little kids here get to stand at a horse stable. The kids look incredible again too. That doesn't come out at all on the camera. They have so many beautiful details. They will decorate a piece of the terrain as well. At this house, I stuck some fences between the columns here. Also, a couple of horses are glued in the back that got some water and food. The children will be glued in front of the fence and look at the horses. They will get a small dog as a companion. All of the remaining civilians are painted now for the last terrain piece. They will be included in the market area. The different figures symbolize different characters. Here's a herbal healer who will have a herb and medicine stand. Here is a gardener who will run a vegetable market stall. Further, here's a weaver with her loom and she will sell carpets and fabrics. And here is a shoemaker, relatively self-explanatory what he will sell. Lastly, a nobleman, at least that's what he's called. I'd like to have him run an armory stall. I'll take you into a lot of time lapses, but not all of them, because some steps are duplicated and I don't want to show them to you several times. I thought about having a central marketplace that would be round. There I have oriented myself on a film can, which I actually find quite nice in its size. I will build the central square to about 14 centimeters diameter because this heat the hot wire cutter still manages well. I will draw some lines from the center of the circle so that I can cut templates for the bases that will fit perfectly modular to the inner circle of the marketplace. I'll show you this in time-lapse now, and then you'll understand better how I meant it exactly. I'll give you a short report in between. I cutted a template here, which works well for the size of my market stalls. I also have some old market stalls here, and I will build some new ones. The template just fits from the size, then pretty ideal, and you can slide it perfectly to the middle place. The modularity allows me to arrange the stalls differently each time and also to store them easier. Generally, I have taken for the market center and the stone row above it twice the same width, so that two stone rows are on top of each other and that fits well together. In the center, then later flowers will be glued so that the inner market circle consists of a flower bed. How I want to design this flower bed, you will see in the time lapse then.